So the Microsoft Surface Pro 3 may still be a tablet in terms of its form factor, but make no mistake about it, this is one powerful mobile computer, making it in the direct lines of fire of one of the best ultrabook/laptops in the business, the Macbook Air. So in this video, we're going to be doing a direct comparison between the Surface Pro 3 and the latest generation of the MacBook Air to see which one comes out on top and to see which one is right for you. Okay everyone, so the first thing that we're going to do is take a look at the physical dimensions of both these two computers, and as you can see over here, the Surface Pro 3 is not only smaller and lighter than the 13-inch MacBook Air, but it's noticeably also thinner than the Air, even with its keyboard attachment. Now both devices have really remarkable screens. In terms of resolution, the Surface Pro 3 definitely has the Air beat at the moment. The MacBook Air currently is not offering any Retina resolutions, so you're still looking at a 1440 by 900 resolution on the 13-inch edition, and we have a 12-inch screen on the Surface Pro 3, which has a staggering resolution of 2560 by 1440, so that not only gives you sharper and more clear text and images, but since you have a higher native resolution, you could potentially have more desktop real estate. Additionally, one thing I also noticed and really love about the Surface Pro 3 screen is the color depth and rendition. It's a very, very vibrant display. It's one of the best color representative displays I've seen in a mobile device thus far. So in terms of display quality and experience, I do have to say that the Surface Pro 3 definitely has the MacBook Air beat on that category. Now next we're going to take a look at the internal specifications of both these two configurations. On the Surface Pro 3, we actually have the upgraded i5 processor, which is clocked at about 1.9 gigahertz and it can turbo up to 2.5 gigahertz, and that is a dual core processor with 4 gigs of DDR3. On the MacBook Air side, we also have a very similar i5. It's also a dual core. It's clocked a little bit lower, but it can turbo a little bit higher up to 2.7 gigahertz, and it also has 4 gigs of DDR3 RAM. Now, both computers actually have 128 gigabytes of SSD internal memory storage. Now, the Surface Pro 3 at a baseline level comes with 64 gigs, so if you do want a little bit more, you do have to pay a little extra. The MacBook Air obviously has many other configurations, but from a baseline perspective, on the 13-inch side, it does come with 128 gigs as stock. Now, in terms of the speed itself, on the MacBook Air, we have internal PCIe-based SSD connection, so the throughput and the overall SSD performance is really good. I would say it's almost twice as good as what you find on the Surface Pro 3. Even though the Surface Pro 3 does have a decent fast SSD, it's faster than any traditional hard drive, but it's still not as fast as what you would find on this MacBook Air. Now, both computers have Wi-Fi AC compatibilities, but they do also have N and dual bandwidth support, so pretty good networking capabilities. In terms of cameras, the MacBook Air has that 720p FaceTime camera at the front. The Surface Pro 3 actually has 2 cameras. They're both 5 megapixels for the rear and front facing cameras, and the camera quality, as you can see over here, is certainly not bad, very passable for a laptop or any kind of tablet. Now, taking a look at the physical ports of both these two computers, they're pretty well fully featured for being so compact. The MacBook Air has the Thunderbolt 1.0 port, which doubles as a very fast data transferring cable interface, as well as a DisplayPort connection. It also has 2 USB 3.0 connections, as well as an SD card slot. The Surface Pro 3 also has 1 full-size USB 3.0 connections, a micro SD card reader slot, as well as a mini DisplayPort connections for hooking up to an external display. So the whole reason for doing this comparison now is the Surface Pro 3, along with the previous generation of Surface computers, have really been targeted for people trying to buy laptops and try to replace their laptops with some kind of transforming tablet device. The unique thing about the Surface Pro 3 is that the hardware is built really well, and really what Microsoft is trying to do is take a cue out of Apple's book by kind of controlling the hardware and software to work really harmonious together. And certainly this keyboard attachment that you're seeing over here does not come with the Surface Pro 3. I think that's kind of a mistake. I wish they included it. It is another attachment in terms of an accessory, but once you have it, you can really see it being used as a laptop. Obviously the form factor is quite different, but the whole interface, like previous generation Surface computers, is really well thought out. The whole magnetic latching system is very good. You can angle the keyboard to a certain degree to get more comfortable in terms of typing. Now let's talk about the keyboard itself, in terms of the overall size and kind of feel of it, if you're an avid typer, you're probably not going to really like it too much compared to a proper keyboard as what you'd find on a normal laptop such as the MacBook Air. But I'm sure given enough time and practice on the Surface Pro 3's keyboard, you can probably be pretty proficient with it. The other cool thing I like about it is that it has a full backlight capabilities, which is pretty great to see. It's not as well lit as what you'd find on the Air, but certainly handy when it comes to typing in the dark. Now, the multi-touch trackpad on the Surface Pro 3 is certainly not up to spec of what you would find on the MacBook Air in terms of overall responsiveness and sheer surface area. Although it's more compact size in terms of its overall structure, it certainly doesn't beat the precision and the overall feel of what you would get on the MacBook Air's touchpad. I mean, the overall smoothness and responsiveness of the Surface Pro 3 is certainly not bad, but given a choice, you definitely would probably go for the MacBook Air's trackpad. Now, since the performance features on both these two computers are so similar, let's go ahead and take some time and do some benchmarking on these two computers to see which one is the faster product. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is just do a simple boot up test from a complete shutdown. So both the computers are shut down. I press the power button on both computers at the same time and they're booting up right now, as you see over here. The MacBook Air does have the better SSD specification, as you saw right there. It just booted up into OS 10 just a bit faster than the Surface Pro 3, but certainly not a bad effort for the Surface Pro 3 for running full Windows 8.1 as well. Now, the next thing we're going to do is open up Cinebench, which is going to test our CPU performance, and what we're going to just do is run them both at the same time, and we're just going to speed it up. And as you can see from the results, we did a little bit better on the Surface Pro 3 thanks to its little faster processor, although they're both clocked very similarly and they're both i5 dual-core processors. We still got a higher score on the Surface Pro 3 of about 255 versus 230 points on the MacBook Air. So the next thing we're going to do is open up Unigen's Heaven Benchmark 4.0, and we're going to just run our benchmark at 1280 by 800 and keep the details at a medium setting, and we'll just go ahead and run through it. And looking at the results themselves, we definitely find that even though there's not much of a GPU in any of these two computers, we still find that the MacBook Air scored a little bit higher, about 18.3 frames per second on average versus 14 frames per second on the Surface Pro 3. So these are really not gaming devices, but I'm sure given some casual games that are not too 3D graphically intensive, you could probably get some decent gaming performance out of them if you don't push the resolution too high. Now, the last thing we're going to do is take a look at the battery performance of both these two computers. In terms of the overall endurance, nothing can really beat the MacBook Air in terms of its 12-hour battery life. You can easily get over 12 hours of battery life if you're kind of conservative on how you use the actual computer, but it's certainly remarkable to see how Apple engineers their battery management systems and how OS 10 is so efficient in terms of power management. But the new version of the Surface Pro 3 is certainly not bad. You could certainly get 8 to 10 hours of just continuous battery life if you're doing some light web browsing. Obviously, if you're doing more multimedia heavy applications, in both regards, you're going to see a decrease in battery performance, but certainly not bad and competitive enough for most ultrabooks that are out there. So definitely not bad battery performance in both regards. And that's really it, guys. If you have any specific questions about anything I talked about in this video, please make sure to leave that on a comment down below, and make sure to give us a thumbs up if this video helped you out in any way whatsoever, and that really helps us out tremendously. If you're specifically interested in the current version of the Surface Pro 3 and the particular version of the MacBook Air we tested out, we have those specific products in the description below, so you can check out those links. But other than that, guys, we'll see you later, and thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you later. Take care.